Welcome, everyone. Good afternoon to the 2026 FLATE webinar on Florida Manufacturing Month. I'm Teresa Potter. I'm the Community Engagement Manager for FLATE. FLATE is part of Florida Makes, and we do many things to promote manufacturing education in Florida, but today we're going to talk about promoting manufacturing careers to students. So I'm going to cover a few things in 3 minutes and then turn it over to Daniele. We're going to move quickly. I'm going to start by just going over what is Manufacturing Month. So the first off, October is Manufacturing Month in Florida. It will kick off on October 2nd, which is National Manufacturing Day. National Manufacturing Day has been around since 2012. It was established by the National Association of Manufacturing, and it's promoted still by the Manufacturing Institute every day to kick off that day. And it was created so that to encourage manufacturers to open their doors to students and educators and community members so that we could share the fact that manufacturing careers are high tech, change the perception that they're not great careers, and ultimately to build a pipeline of new workers for our manufacturing industry, while at the same time showing everybody how important manufacturing is to our communities. So I'm going to go over we're going to focus today mostly on in-person tours. We have a lot of national data that shows the impact of in-person tours, of getting students out to actually see the careers, see the facilities in person, and talk to people who are doing those jobs. So we focus on in-person tours, but there are lots of other types of events that are also impactful. So if you aren't able to get your students out in person, a lot of manufacturers will do virtual tours that are live. They'll do a live tour, but virtually showing their facilities and doing a Q&A with students. We also have manufacturers that'll come out to your classrooms and talk to your students in person or attend a school-wide or a district-wide expo or event that you're holding. And a lot of those are in partnership with many other organizations all across the state. Our local CTE coordinators, our regional manufacturing associations, FLATE, of course, tries to connect partners all the time to have manufacturing month activities and events. Our state colleges, we have several people on this call today from our state colleges, are a great resource. It's a lot of times a good event to couple visiting your state college and viewing manufacturing programs at local colleges with a tour to a manufacturing facility if you have the ability to do that, or simply visiting the labs at those colleges and seeing the career paths that are offered through those programs. And we also work with local career source and other workforce organizations to put on these tours across the state. And once you have decided what kind of tour you want to do and you've put it together, we want to make sure that you promote it widely, because we want to amplify the impact of this, not just your students seeing these tours and facilities and information on these careers, but everyone in the community will see it the more that you spread the word. So we can share it on social media, and we'll share this PowerPoint presentation. So you'll have these hashtags handy. They're also on our website to share it on social media through hashtag MFG Day 26 and Florida FL MFG Month 26. And there's a whole marketing toolkit on mfgday.com. And now I am going to turn it over to Daniele.
Thank you, Teresa. I'm gonna be sharing live. Oh, let's see, where is it? Right here. So you all know how to access our resources. So first, you're gonna type madeinflorida.org manufacturing date. This is how it looks like. And since this page has been designed for educators as well as industry partners, but since our audience today is mostly educators, I'm gonna focus on those resources that are gonna help you the most. And since time is limited, so I'm gonna focus in the best ones that I think are the top resources from FLATE. So first off, partners. Like Teresa mentioned, there are a lot of partners, career resources, other organizations, but the first one that I will reach out is your local regional manufacturing association. We are aware that most of the regions don't have one, so if you're not sure, contact us or contact your career resource representative or college. And if not, reach out to us. We will help you to connect. And again, once you have the event, like Teresa mentioned, don't forget to register your event and to pause. Promote, promote, promote. That's awesome. We need to make sure everyone knows what Florida is doing to promote manufacturing careers and months and around the nationwide. Okay, so planning. This is what we have for planning. Uh, I'm going to point out here that we have some best practice guides right here in this one. Also, we have resources for hosts as well as educators. And we have the Manufacturing Institute that is top of the line resources also with toolkits that we highly recommend to visit. And virtual tools that we carry Mayers, one of our guest speakers, kindly is going to talk about that. In addition to that, we have promotional materials for you to use. We have the logos for Manufacturing Month that is specifically for Florida. So please use this. So we have a unique and throughout consistency of logos. We have a customizable presentation for you. We want to make this easier for all the educators and whoever is helping to promote manufacturing careers. We have also flyers with great careers opportunities for you to use. So, time is fast. I'm over my 3 minutes, but please remember to visit this best practice guides for industry tours. Again, like Teresa mentioned, we're focused on the in-person tours. Here you will find all the tips and suggestions to get that. Teresa, I'm going to stop sharing and go back to our presentation. So please, I encourage all of you to go back and take a look at each of the resources and see what is best fits for you, especially for those first timers, to help you plan your event. We have a check-in list for planning and also events for activities for after the tour. And with the marketing resources right here, we have listed the website again for you to take advantage of. Now, without further ado, I'm going to introduce our guest speaker, Karen Meyers, the director of the STEAM Outreach Inspire Education and Workforce Development at Florida State University, who's going to talk about great resource virtual tours for those of you that perhaps cannot make an in-person tours. Carrie, is all yours.
Thank you, Daniele. Thank you for everybody to come to the webinar. It does a really great job at helping us prepare for the Advanced Manufacturing Month. So I'll drop in the chat.
Is the sound fine for you? No. It was fine earlier, Carrie, but right now we're getting a tinny background.
Can you hear me now?
Yes.
I think that's better. Try again.
Okay, sorry about that. Well, I all I said was hello and thank you for having me, and that you guys do a great job putting together and helping us get ready for Advanced Manufacturing Month. So I just wanted to quickly share some virtual tours that are freely available on CPOMs that our team created for our Inspire program that is working in Northwest Florida. And I'll drop the link in the chat in a moment, but I figured I would just share some of these. When you come to the homepage here, there'll be two different choices. We have two virtual tours right now. We'll have a third one up and released for October's Advanced Manufacturing Month, and that will be with Jupiter Bach out in Escambia County. But when you go here and you click on it, the kids, there's audio narration. It brings the kids through everything, but they get to it's a choose your own adventure in essence, so that the kids can have that student agency to pick where they want to go, what they're interested in doing, and not necessarily hear the same flow as everybody else. So they'll have a year to come and to discover on their own which they're interested in doing. They'll click there. There's videos at each. Some of them will have some cartoon animations about how the advanced and additive manufacturing works. We have experts that are on our team that are explaining things. You'll see your vocabulary over here on the side. Those are some really good things like that. Here's another one, first in the world machines that we have in Northwest Florida. And then towards the end of it, the kids can go in and they can answer questions on it, so that you know if they had listened throughout the entire process. They can choose submit, and if it's incorrect, it'll explain it to them. And then finally, towards the end, when they end the tour, there's different activities that you guys can continue to do in your classrooms. And if you select one of those, we have different levels, beginner and advanced, depending on grade levels. And then you'll be able to download a document that has a variety of different activities that help kids understand at a beginning level or at an advanced level what additive and subtractive manufacturing is. So I will drop that resource in the chat and you all can go to that. You do not need a login at all. It's open and you can freely share that with your students, your parents, community.
I already dropped it in the chat.
Oh, thank you. Perfect.
Thank you, Carrie. And now uh, it's my pleasure to introduce our guest speakers, our panel for Manufacturing Month's Connections. Michael McCullough is the curriculum specialist of industrial technology, agribusiness, and public service education for the Pinellas County Schools, and Rob Harris, executive director of Sarasota Manatee Manufacturers Association at SAMA, who are going to share the best practices and tips of how to plan and execute successful Manufacturing Month activities. Okay. Now, the first question, what are the best tips for educators, like already mentioned? So let's try to cover the right partners. How do educators identify and approach industry partners, and what makes a strong school industry partnership? We can start with Michael.
Yeah, I'd love to start with that one. Hi, everybody. Again, my name is Mike McCullough, Pinellas County Schools. I was just thinking about this. I had to go back and look. I think this is going to be my seventh manufacturing month, so that says a lot. And some of the hints or the tips that you suggested is kind of how I got into this. Is I had a meeting, somehow I ended up meeting with the Bay Area Manufacturers Association, and that's how this all started with me. So I'd highly suggest reaching out if there is an association in your district or near your city, town, area, however it's set up. Start there, because that's your easiest way to make the contacts. From there, we have also, worked with other partners and in other industries that have opened the doors for us. So that's another suggestion. If you are doing advisory boards, talk to some of those partners that you have. The best thing I can say is that, I just kept a good line of communication going constantly with the Bay Area Manufacturing Association. So yes, we did a lot, of course, during Manufacturing Month and preparing for Manufacturing Month, but that line of communication stayed open constantly throughout the year. So if they needed something from us or vice versa, it was an easy call. And I always say Beth Galick, who is a part of the Bay Area Manufacturers Association, is my first call when I need, help from industry partners. So
thank you, Michael. Rob, any input on this?
Yeah, I agree with what Michael says, because the RMAs have the same interest. We know that the manufacturers are all struggling to find labor, and if they want that to change, they have to get involved. So yes, I play the catalyst between the educators and the manufacturers, and we do focus on the in-person tours. That absolutely has the most impact. These kids need to see what is happening behind these anonymous walls and these buildings that they don't even know exist. And that's really what's going to get them excited. Because you can talk about things, but show and tell doesn't work in the classroom nearly as well as it does in the facility. Whether it's moving forward or even for next year, and thinking about this as the educators, one of the most impactful ways that I get in front of the teachers is I'm invited by the CTE directors at the beginning of the school year to speak in front of all of them when they're having their back to school meetings. And that has been the most impactful. That's how I get in front of everyone. And if they're interested, they contact me. And just from this August, I have 4 instructors that have reached out, 2 of which we are bringing 7 manufacturers to each high school to meet with the instructors. And then part two will be to meet with the students. But the first thing is they want to know, am I teaching the right thing? Is what I'm teaching these kids going to get them employed if I have an 18-year-old who's going to graduate high school and enter the workforce? Am I going to teach them am I teaching them the right things if they want to go to a tech college or a state college so that they have the basis of what they need? And you just never know what relationships are going to be made when those manufacturers are with the instructor. And then we do need to get the manufacturers in front of the students as well. As far as getting the students out of the building and into the facilities, that gets a little tougher. But I will tell you that is if you can create the excitement, right? If you're excited about making the effort to get your students out of the building and on these tours, it's definitely worth it. And then when you have somebody like myself or a Beth Gallick who plays the intermediary to make sure all the logistics work, that is a big help. We know buses are difficult. There are times where we have to work with the school bus system where the time is very limited. We have counties that are willing to pay for charter buses, or they look for sponsors to pay for charter buses, and that helps remove those limitations on time. They can leave first thing in the morning and not have to worry about a school bus situation. We put out a form to all of our manufacturers to ask some important questions, age restrictions, apparel restrictions. Will you serve lunch? Are you willing to host more than one tour in a day? Because we also know, take the school bus or charter bus situation, you need to get 40 to 50 students on these buses. Not every manufacturer is going to allow 50 students to come in on one tour. It's too many. They just can't, the logistics don't work on the tour itself. So one of the things that we try to do is we'll take one class of 25 who's on the same bus as another class of 25. We drop them off at manufacturer number one, the first half. We take the second half to manufacturer number two. They take their 45-minute to 1 hour tours, and then the buses pick them up and do the flip flop. And perhaps there's even lunch in between. So there's all these different things that we want to make sure that we're accommodating the teachers and the students in the school day to make this worthwhile for you to go through the efforts to get your students into the building. But I can tell you firsthand, as a previous COO of a manufacturer, even the employees of the manufacturers enjoy doing this. And it's the employees, not the CEO, not the COO, not the HR director, that's going to get these kids excited about the careers in these various manufacturers.
Thank you, Rob. Let's move forward to our next page, even though we already kind of talked about some plan and logistics. Anything that we have left behind besides for planning, Michael?
I'll piggyback on what Rob was saying too about it's a great idea to split up your visits, because like you said, my biggest issue always is I can't justify taking 15 students out of a class, taking the teacher and then leaving a sub there for the rest of the day. So we have gotten very creative, and something you had said earlier, what I also do is I also partner with a technical college. So Pinellas Technical College is a big part of my manufacturing months. And so what we'll do is we might have half the students start at the technical college, half the students start at the manufacturers, and again, switch it. And or when I'm dealing with funding issues too, the technical college might help me out in terms of funding the buses, because again, that's the second biggest issue I have. And I also do now throw it back into the students and families, because on average, I'm spending about $470 to 480 per trip. And so if you really think about it, if you break it down into 40 something kids, it's about $10, $11. We're not forcing every kid that can't pay, but $11. And if the manufacturers are providing lunch, I've seen some of those kids, they eat $11 worth of lunch easy. So it's not a bad trade-off. So try to always think outside the box. Don't get locked into a typical field trip, because these aren't typical field trips. And that's another thing I wanted to say is you can't go into this thinking, oh, I'm just going to come. The manufacturer is going to host a tour and I can sit back and relax. And I always am on top of my teachers about that, that this is not where you're taking the day off. You really need to, stress to your students, A, are they coming in with the correct wear? Have they got, closed-toed shoes? Are they dressed somewhat professional? You need to be on top of them the entire time. And you also need to be discussing in advance, hey, here's what the careers are that are going to come from this tour. Here is, and as we all know, money speaks. Show them how much money that they can not actually be making in said, tour that they're going to see, because comparative to, some of the other pays, it's not even close.
Mhm. Perfect. I
Correct.
think we can move to number 3. Next slide, Teresa. Prepare resources and support. We shared some already at the beginning, but in addition to that, Michael and Rob, will you have any other resources you would like to recommend?
I do. You mentioned earlier about the virtual tours, and I think they're fantastic, especially if they can if they're done live and there's Q&A interaction type things. But not every manufacturer is willing to do that, and we had that issue last year. And what we ended up doing to overcome that is we got with our local technical college who had a digital video class, and we put it to the instructor's students to make it a project. And so the students went in and did 7 video tours where I guided some of them. Some of the HR people would guide them through rules of what you can video, what you can't, but it came out fantastic. So I'm going to put a link in the chat as well for being able to see those videos that we did. And communication, yeah, everybody's got to figure it out, right? It's what day of the week works for the manufacturer, what day of the week works for the teacher, and everything in between. We know it's difficult to put together, but that's where it helps to have an intermediary to be that go-between to make sure it all works.
Mhm. Michael, anything to add?
Yeah, Google the company. I mean, if you're not having this conversation about what you're about to go see, shame on that teacher, because the students should come in with some sort of knowledge. And that's one of the things I'm always harping on them, like, hey, know what they're making. So when you can have that conversation with your students.
Exactly. So one of our resources is that, exactly that. We have, it's called Manufacturing Fact Sheet. So we ask the educators to prepare the most impact resources and to prepare the students right before the visit is what just Michael just said and Rob. Go to the website, review the website. There is a pre-planned questions that is generic for all the companies that it doesn't matter which company you visit. And ask the students to investigate, to research careers, skills required, so they are prepared of what they're going to see and have a better experience on that. Thank you. Let's move to the next slide with question number 4. Oh, there was no number 4. We have a summary now. Teresa, would you like to provide a summary?
Sure. So, and we can always ask all our speakers for any last thoughts as well if we don't have any questions. But if you do have questions, please put them in the chat. I think we've probably summarized everything, but in case we didn't mention every little thing, as educators, you know that you have to get necessary approvals. Make sure you get the form signed by the students well ahead of time. I'm a former media specialist. You never want a student to not be able to go last minute. Set a budget, reach out to other people if you're having trouble paying for something. As Rob mentioned, a lot of the manufacturers will provide lunch to the students, and that's one of the questions that's asked of them when they fill out the form. And make sure that you identify who's going to do what as part of the process and set expectations with students. All of that was kind of mentioned, and prepare them ahead of time. So we always mention that. I put in the chat the link to the statewide form that Flate has. It's very similar, if not stolen directly from Rob's form. If you happen to be in Sarasota or Manatee, use Rob's form. You probably have that. But if you're somewhere else and you're not quite sure who the partner is to use in your area, you can use our statewide form and Flate will connect you with the right person. And I believe that's all I have. We can see if there's any questions or any last thoughts.
Teresa, this is Tim Woodman with St. Petersburg College. I wanted to hop in and thank you all for inviting us to join in on this call. But secondly, I wanted to bring up where you were talking about partnerships. What St. Petersburg College is doing now is we're partnering with Career Source Tampa Bay. We're doing a teen career camp over the summertime. Tampa Bay's Career Source actually puts in some funds to get the students bused in, get foods and stuff like that.
You entered muted.
And
So what is please?
Someone else must be unmuted.
I
Go
think
ahead, Tim.
can you hear me good?
Yeah, that was just
Yes.
background noise
Yes, we hear you.
Okay.
from someone else.
So, not a problem. So, we're combining with Career Source and we're building up courses to where we're bringing high school students in, teaching them about additive manufacturing, robotics, mechatronics, and getting them involved in the college atmosphere, getting them to be aware of what's out there. At the same time, we're introducing them to workforce development programs, such as our J Standard soldering certification classes, and letting them be aware that once they're done with high school, there is another avenue for them. So I think high schools in general, CTEs should reach out to your community colleges and communicate and see what workforce programs are available. So I'm privileged to work in a very unique building at the Tarpon Springs campus. It's the Chris Sproul's Workforce Innovation Hub. We have CNC machining, additive manufacturing, laser engraving, the J Standard soldering certification lab. We have a full industrial kitchen. We have a TED Talk space all in one building. So students get to come in here and create, and it's a wonderful opportunity.
Thank you, Tim. Actually, anybody who's on this call, and we try to ask frequently. As you know, we do a Flate newsletter every month. We try to share information across the state that everybody's doing. So, if you're, especially when it's coming up on summer camp time, we try to share out those summer camps. And we have the ability, as you know, for me to send a personal email message. So I can send, if you have something particularly happening in St. Pete College and you want me to send it to just the educators that we have that are in that area so they can share it with their students, just share that information out with Flate, and we're happy to send it on out to the connections that we have. Any other questions?
I just want to remind some of the participants to remember the partners at Career Source, also your college, technical college around. They can host an additional tour for your students, for your middle and high school students, so they can show what careers they can pursue in addition to. It's a great pair of for manufacturing months to go to an actual industry tour and then to the college if you can, if you will. So I know I have quite a few faculty members or representatives from colleges like Timothy here that they have done that, and it's a great experience for them.
And we had a question in the chat about how to join our mailing list. So anybody who attends one of our webinars, we add you automatically. So if you're here today, we'll add you automatically. Anybody else who wants to join can always email. With the email that we have in this presentation, which we'll send out to everyone, is events@flate.org, or you can email me personally, and we'll happy to add you to our mailing list. And if for some reason, if you did receive a personal invitation from me for this webinar, but you're not seeing our newsletter, we do send it out on as close as possible to the first of every month. Obviously, we don't send it on Saturday or Sunday, but near the first of the month, newsletter is going out every month, except for we combine July and August and December and January, since our educators aren't always around for all of those months. So look in your spam if you're not seeing that coming directly into your email, and if you're still not getting it, reach out to me. And we will automatically send everybody a copy of the recording as well as a copy of the presentation from today. You'll get another email from me for that.
Last chance for last question.
All right, thank you so much.
Yeah, thank you for having us.
Thank you, speakers. Thank you, participants. And we are here to help. So reach out to us.